On today's show, our theme is searching. Our symbol is islands, and as always, I interpret the dreams you sent in during the week. Hello and welcome to So You Think You're Awake, the show all about dreams and their meanings. I'm Michael Sheridan and it's my mission to set the record straight about dreams. You can send your dreams to the show at dream-analysis.com. You'll find a submission form on the website, or you can send them directly to radioshow@dream-analysis.com. I always forget to say these later on in the show, so I'm going to put this right up here in the beginning. We have two classes coming up that you may be interested in. The first is my 8-week online dream interpretation class. It starts on 6th of January 2018. There's an early bird special if you book within the next few weeks. That gives you a serious discount. But that's 6th of January 2018. Go to dream-analysis.com and you'll get the details there. Click on courses. And also Heidi has finally agreed to do another class that will teach you how to channel. You don't often get people who are teaching this type of stuff, but that's taking place on the 10th and 11th of November in Seattle. That's an in-person class. You can get the details on that on at angelsontheline.com. Links to both are under this video. Last week, Heidi gave a talk at Bellevue Project's Arts Theatre, and I have a little clip from that here.
And then we have, so I don't know the first name, but what they kept showing me was a field of flowers, like blooming flowers. It's on this side. Is there anyone here that has a name that would, it sounds like it might make sense, but it definitely is a name, a blooming field of flowers. Bloom field, possibly, over here. Yeah. What's your first name?
Took me a while.
What is your name then?
So it's Sophia.
And what's your last name?
So my last name is Bloomfield now.
I knew it was this direction and they kept pointing at you, but I didn't want to.
I was thinking about my father and his name was not Bloomfield.
Oh, yeah. That's your married name?
Yes.
I guess that's an easy symbol for me to interpret.
It was truly a great evening, and the event organizer is putting together video clips or maybe a whole video of the whole event, so maybe we'll post that to our channel later. Last week I did an analysis where I told a person don't access the Akashic Records, and she wrote in after the show, let's see if I can find her question here. I told the dreamer not to access the Akashic Records. It was an old dream, so it's always interesting to see how it panned out. How many of you have ever considered even accessing the Akashic Records? She wrote in anyway, she said, the dream was from 2002. I did work with the Akashic Records for a while after the dream, and I considered that it was a very good spiritual experience with a spiritual leader who is very responsible and good at what she does. I only read my own records though. We did not try to read anyone else's. It was made clear that the class was for one's own individual benefit. I haven't done anything with the Akashic Records for at least 7 years now, though I have occasionally considered contacting the woman who taught those classes and asking for a personal consult with the Akashic Records. But I think mostly I've decided not to do that. Well, given the analysis, it's good. Interesting that you said you wondered if I could do it without realizing it. At the very beginning of our first Akashic Records class, I started successfully opening my records and getting information before I was supposed to. That is, the teacher planned to walk us slowly into it, but I hadn't realized I was supposed to wait for the teacher's guidance and just went ahead and did it. So I think you were right about some natural ability on my part. Well, of course, it's your dreams that are right. I'm merely interpreting your dreams. So it's interesting, you said, this is only a piece of what you said. You said that you didn't even get into the Akashic Records for a few years after the dream, but it's still interesting how the dreams predicted you were going to do it. And it's not a common thing for people to get into at all. And it's good that you dropped out of it. It's something you did, you may remember, it's something you did in a former life, and that's why it's easy for you. And of course, we sometimes have the mishap of falling into patterns from former lives. So trying to read the Akashic Records in this lifetime because you were able to do it in the last lifetime. And it does give you kind of a cheat sheet about what life is about and what interactions you're having. Like, why do I not like that person? And then you can see what they did to you in a former life. And you're not always meant to know these things because you're meant to be here and healing it. So the dreamer also asked, she said, you said something about when we achieve the level of a guide. I don't understand this because I thought guides were our spiritual helpers, not something that we become. You also said something about coming here as a guide. Are you saying that we are all here trying to grow into guides? Well, I'm going to answer all these. And then the next part of our question, then you said guides can access the Akashic Records and guides don't tend to abuse their power. I don't understand this at all. I would have thought that a real guide could not abuse their power. Well, the answer is everybody can abuse their power. We are all here because we abused our powers and we lost our awareness because of abuse of powers. So our journey back to full awareness is a journey back to where we started from. Guides are further on the path back than we are. Most souls didn't lose awareness, so we're getting help from them too. But anyway, you say you thought guides were our spiritual helpers. They are indeed. And if you look at the earth life, it's not a clinical thing, but we achieve, before we reach a human state, before we can come here and be in control of our own lives. So as a human, we have free will. We can do anything we want. If you look at any of the other animals on the planet, they can only be that animal. A dog can only be a dog. A tiger can only be a tiger. You know, whereas we can transcend the limitations of our animal nature. We can fly. We can go to the moon. We can do all the sorts of things that other animals just simply can't do. But that's because we were given we have free will back. We will use the earth plane, and not everybody does. You don't need to come here to get to this state, but typically people will live lots of lifetimes until their awareness level reaches about 90%. Again, it's not clinical. At that stage, we review all our lifetimes in one swoop, you could say. That's what our focus is going to be. And after that stage, we have the choice of, we reach the level of a guide and we have a choice of being a guide or not. And many souls aren't. They decide not to be guides and they just move on and they keep increasing their awareness. But guides are typically souls who have decided that they're going to hold themselves back a little bit and help the rest of us catch up. And guides can come to the earth plane, which is what I said. If you come here as a guide, you can still access the Akashic Records. And you said you thought a real guide wouldn't abuse their power. Well, anybody can abuse power, including guides. So it's always a risk coming here. So typically what we do is only a small amount of us comes here. It's like we hold a lot in the bank, and that's our higher self that we leave behind. So we come here, our higher self is still on the spirit plane and still controlling our lives, still pulling the strings. And guides do that too. But when we get to a stage in our life, or if we ever get to a stage where it's totally known that we're not going to abuse any powers that we have, then we can integrate with our higher self on the earth plane. And guides typically do that. But anybody can do it. Anybody can get to that level. I hope that answers your question. Just glancing through it here again. Anything else? Yeah, so it's not that we grow into guides, but we want to reach their level of awareness. And guides typically have worked in the fields that we need the expertise in, that we need their help in. So if we need to work on relationships or forgiveness or whatever it happens to be, they have specialized in that in at least one of their lifetimes. So they have a lot of empathy and understanding for what we're going through, and therefore can help us. So let's have a look at our symbol for today. And I'm actually in Hawaii, and that's why the show isn't live, because we don't have the bandwidth in the hotel that we're in to transmit live. It makes it a little bit more awkward. So I thought a good thing for today, and matches in with our theme, would be islands. So this is the island of Kauai, which is where I am. And islands in dreams represent keeping yourself at a distance from others. It's the classic Paul Simon song, I'm a rock, I'm an island. So it's like you don't want anybody to get near you. It usually comes because of emotional pain at an early stage in your life, and you don't want to experience that pain again. But at a very young age, typically around between 2 and 3, we start building this wall around our heart. Shows up in dreams as physical walls, but it's really symbolic of the wall we put around our heart, and we keep everybody out. We don't want anybody to get close, because if they get close, they could hurt us, like we got hurt before. Typically, it's because of a poor bond with mom that we do this. And of course, this is part of the design. You will have realized that at this stage. It's not that our mothers mess us up or our dads mess us up. It's part of why we came here, to transfer the issues that we already have in the spirit plane, transfer them to the physical plane, and then work on them while we're here. And when we grow through them and increase our awareness, we no longer have that issue on the spiritual plane, and that's how it is. So an island, because it's separated from everything else, represents that. And the island in particular is going to be significant. So Hawaii has lots of sun, so it's going to be about healing you for the emotional trauma, and that's what the sun is about in a dream. If you're on the beach, on the island, then it's about addressing your spiritual approach. And we had that last week, where a woman was trying to get off an island and swim to the mainland, but she didn't get any further than the beach. And of course, Hawaii is well known for the welcome with the garland of flowers, the lei. So the flowers in dreams always represent love. So it's symbolizing getting the love that you didn't get, which is what caused you to close yourself off in the first place. So always a good symbol in a dream. It doesn't matter if the lei doesn't show up in your dream. We know this about Hawaii, so we know that it's about love, or self-love, you could say. But it doesn't have to be Hawaii. It could even be Manhattan, for instance, which has so many people on it, but it's still about keeping yourself separate. In fact, you're probably more likely going to know your neighbor in Hawaii than you would in Manhattan. But the island is symbolic of only letting people in that we want to let in, and keeping everybody else at bay. Now, the problem, of course, is that we also don't share our feelings. So if I don't share my feelings, you can't pick on me. You can't find fault with whatever it is I feel. And of course, over time, we stop feeling it. And that's really the problem, and that's what leads to physical health problems. So Liberty Island, also shown in the picture here, would also, it's a smaller place, but it would also be about freeing yourself from the limitations of being an island, or from closing off your heart. So it doesn't matter what the island is. And even if you were to take Australia, for instance, huge island in the southern hemisphere. So it's still going to be about that. Again, we associate the sun with Australia, so it's going to be healing for that too. So that's islands. Let's have a look at some dreams. And our first dream is called The Priest. In fact, I changed it to You Are a Priest. The dreamer didn't give it a name, and I named it myself. Please do name your dreams when you send them in. I am on a short bike that my legs are too long for. I wind up pushing the bike and not riding it per se. I'm going along a long path. My surroundings are beautiful countryside. Excuse me. So the long path, I've changed the order a little bit here. The long path is about karma. So the dreamer is having you could say a difficult life, like pushing the bike instead of being able to cycle it and so on. You know, it's all harder. And it's a short bike. So the bike also symbolizes the heart, because it's all about balance. So here it's saying that I need to open myself up again, just like the island, and life is a struggle, you could say. Pushing the bike uphill is like life is kind of an uphill struggle, and this again is going to be because of something that happened in childhood. But we see in the dream beautiful countryside. I put green in brackets there. So green is the healing color in dreams for the heart chakra. So really good to see that. And then it continues on. I slipped through some tight spots. Well, of course, they're the difficulties you had in your life, and that's what I mentioned about earlier about childhood stuff. Doesn't always have to go all the way back to childhood. Some of these things can be later than that, but usually you find something way back in childhood. And the reason is we don't have our rationalizing capabilities as children, and things that our parents say or do, or traumas that we experience, are amplified because they go straight in and they lay down a track of conditioning in our minds, and this is then something we need to overcome. Of course, realize it's meant to happen. I slipped through some tight spots with my bike, and it's good you're still with the bike, and come to the top of the hill where I look ahead. So I look ahead is about me. I'm looking to the future. It's not saying that the dreamer has the ability to see the future, but I'm looking to the future. And I see it as mostly downhill when I come to the top of the hill, where I can put my feet up and not push the bike. So this is kind of like, life is a struggle, but I know I'll get to the point where I can retire and then I can put my feet up, or, you know, something like that. And of course, that's not what life is about. Life is about us doing something because of our struggles and looking at dealing with those, eliminating the negative effects of those. There's always a positive impact to deal with the negative effects so that I'm free now, so that I can cycle the bike before I get over the hill, you could say. Then she says, to my right, I see a green towel. So we see green coming up again and a priest's robe. So this dreamer, I wrote her and she said that she was raised Catholic. Her grandmother, you know, the priest was part of the family. This is something I can relate to, having grown up in a very Catholic Ireland when I was younger. It's not so today. She says, a guy has come out of the shower. It is someone I recognize. Now, it's not really somebody she recognizes in reality, but it's still interesting that she says that it's someone I recognize, because the priest is a guide, somebody with a title, playing a positive role in the dream. So it represents an ability that the person has. And you will have heard me on other shows, if you have my book, I say if a guide brings green, then it means that you're a counselor. So that's what it is for this dreamer. It's a green towel the priest has, but it means that the dreamer has counseling skills. And that's why this tells us then that there's going to be a poor bond with mom, or something that makes the dreamer feel alone in life, very alone. He come out of the shower, someone I recognize, I say, you're a priest. And he very nonchalantly says, yes, my dream ends. Thanks for reading and for bringing back the Dream Dictionary. Of course, that's a reference to my website. The Dream Dictionary is back there, like 15 or 1600 entries that you can look up there, even if you don't have the book. Go to dream-analysis.com. So it's quite a good dream. It's not good, of course. The loneliness and the feeling like life is an uphill struggle, or I'm pushing against things to get to where I need to go. And of course, the secret there, I say secret, it's not really a secret, we say it all the time, is deal with the issues around your mom, and that's going to open up, even make your counselling skills stronger, but it'll remove the sense of loneliness that you have. Can even catapult you onto the dharmic path, quite often it does. So let's have a look at another dream. And this one is called, quite a long title, and I couldn't trim it down because it all makes sense. Costco fun, cake samples and little girls on spoons. And it'll make sense when we look at the dream. So we can tell from the title it's about having fun. It's about trying to restore fun to the dreamer. Costco, because it's a store where we go and get our groceries and so on, is about needs and responsibilities. So something the dreamer needs to do. She says, I was weaving my grocery cart back and forth through many aisles at Costco. Let's bring up some stuff. And many aisles at Costco searching for something. The store was fairly crowded. Okay, so the aisles represent, because the emphasis is drawn to them, represent that the dreamer has an ability to channel, and I'm sure she's seen it in other dreams too. And she's searching. So this searching is what the subject matter of this dream is about. Searching to restore the fun in your life. And we expect the dream to address it, and indeed it will. I kept sampling a triple layer chocolate cake that was on display and going back for more. So good. I passed a display of 2 spoons. And I'll pause there for a second. So the chocolate cake, we've had cakes show up in dreams before. They are a treat. The dreamer does have the ability to do healing, but it's not really about that. In this dream, it's about issues to do with her femininity, her reproductive system. And that's what the chocolate cake represents, because we cook cake in an oven, and that's what an oven represents. And I say triple layer, I'm missing the or there. So the triple layer chocolate cake is about commitment to, so really the dream is trying to entice her back to that. And you look at threes and you say, what is 3? What's gone on for 3 years, for instance? It could be a thing in the dream, or what happened around the age 3. And then we have the spoons, and they seem strange. They seem a little bit out of place. But spoons represent, in dreams, represent the reproductive system, because we use spoons when we have a bowl Otherwise we'll use forks, whatever we typically will use, and bowls represent the uterus or reproductive system. So what about the spoons? Let's have a look at the next piece. She says, the display of spoons, so of course I said the display is about trying to attract you to get a handle on this. The display of spoons with decorative handles. The handles were figurines of a little dancing girl in a red dress. So let's have a look at that. The little dancing girl, well of course the little girl is the dreamer, so it's bringing us back to her as a little girl, and that's where the issue that she needs to get a handle on is, and that's why we have the little girl on the handle. And of course she's dancing, so she's expressing her femininity because it's connected to a spoon, and that's what the dream is saying you need to do. And then red, the red dress, red is the color of the base chakra, which is what feeds the reproductive system, and so it's very healing for that in the dream. So superb symbolism here in the dream. Never seen it before, but I really like it. Little dancing girl on the handle of a spoon. And so we know, like I said before, because we have the cake and we have the spoon, we know that's all about femininity and sexuality, expressing sexuality. That's what the dancing girl would be about. And then it continues on and says, very cute. I was having difficulty finding whatever I was looking for and no one was helping me. Okay, so this is bringing us back to whatever it was. I didn't get help and I've been searching, trying to find what I'm looking for. We have, Mom and I were sitting in a little back office at Costco. One of Mom's friends offered to sew her a hood for an upcoming boat trip. Mom declined because it seemed like too much of hassle and she didn't think this woman would be particularly good at sewing one, so it's okay. We know it's connected to Mom, we already knew that, or guessed that, so now we know it's definitely connected to Mom because you're in the back office and Mom thinks this is a hassle, and it's one of Mom's friends in the dream, so she's trying to go the opposite way to the way Mom was in reality, so Mom felt everything was a hassle, and that is really one of the problems that you've got to overcome. So dreams really give you the focus, tell you this is what you need to look at, because looking at this will help restore your awareness, and that's what it's all about. So that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it's a little bit short. If you like this video, please hit the like button on YouTube, and of course subscribe to my channel. Details about upcoming courses and events are always on my website, dream-analysis.com. Please continue to send your dreams to dream-analysis.com, radio show at dream-analysis.com, or go to the website and find the submission form there. I will be interpreting dreams live at the next Wisdom Soup event on November 7th in Bellevue. A link with details about the event is under this video on YouTube. As always, remember, send your dreams in, and setting the record straight in dream interpretation, I'm Michael Sheridan, and I will see you next week, and until then I will leave you with this quote. Dealing with childhood traumas is the cornerstone of your life's work. They focus your attention on what blocks your awareness. See you next time.